Imagine enjoying a sunny afternoon by your pool, sipping on a cold drink, and soaking in the peaceful vibes. Suddenly, out of nowhere, you hear a knock on your front door. It's the police. Your neighbor has called them, accusing you of something outrageous, simply relaxing in your own backyard. Confused and shocked, you try to piece together what's happening as the officers approach, ready to investigate. What could have prompted such a drastic call? What happens next is a series of events that will leave you stunned and questioning everything about neighborly trust. Stay tuned to find out how this unexpected encounter turns into something that changes everything. As the officers approach, I can't help but wonder what could possibly have led to this situation. I've always kept things quiet and respectful in the neighborhood. My mind races through recent events, trying to recall anything that might have sparked this misunderstanding. Could it have been the small gathering I had last weekend? No, that was just a few close friends, and we wrapped up early. Or maybe it was my new pool furniture being delivered. Was someone bothered by the noise? The officers explained that they received a complaint about suspicious activity. Suspicious? In my own backyard? My neighbor, someone I've barely spoken to, had decided that my afternoon by the pool was cause for alarm. As I stand there, heart pounding, I can't help but feel a mix of confusion and frustration. What's really going on here? And why would someone go to such lengths to involve the police? As the officers start asking questions, I try to stay calm, but my mind is racing. Why would my neighbor do this? I've never had any issues with them before. I glance over at their house, noticing their blinds slightly parted as if someone is watching. The tension in the air is thick, and I can't shake the feeling that this is about more than just a simple misunderstanding. I explained to the officers that I was just enjoying my pool, but they still need to check things out. As they walk around, I catch snippets of their conversation. Words like miscommunication and overreaction. It's clear they're starting to realize this might not be the serious situation they were called out for, but they still have a job to do. Meanwhile, I can't help but wonder what my neighbor's true motives are. Was this about something deeper, some hidden grudge or jealousy? The more I think about it, the more questions arise, and the answers seem just out of reach. As the officers continue their inspection, the tension reaches a boiling point. I feel like I'm in a surreal dream, watching as my peaceful afternoon spirals into chaos. I see more neighbors peeking out from behind their curtains, whispering among themselves. The weight of their judgment feels heavy, as if everyone is forming opinions based on something they don't fully understand. The officers finish their round and return, their expressions softer but still professional. They ask if I've had any recent disputes with my neighbor. I shake my head, genuinely baffled. I hardly know them beyond a polite wave here and there. Could this really be about nothing more than a quiet afternoon by the pool? Suddenly, I hear the faint creak of a door opening. I turn to see my neighbor stepping out, hesitating at first, then walking toward us. The atmosphere grows even more charged as everyone waits to see what they'll say. My neighbor walks up, their expression a mix of nervousness and determination. The officers turn to them, waiting for an explanation. I brace myself, expecting some sort of apology or at least an acknowledgement of the misunderstanding. But what they say next leaves everyone stunned. I saw someone jump the fence last night, they begin, voice shaky. I thought maybe they were hiding out in your yard. A wave of disbelief washes over me. Why didn't they mention this earlier? Why call the cops now, in broad daylight, instead of when they first noticed something? The officers exchange glances, their demeanor shifting as they take this new information in. Suddenly, the situation feels much more serious, the tension cranking up another notch. The officers now have to consider the possibility that there might be a genuine security concern. I can't help but feel a strange mix of relief and anxiety. Relief that this wasn't entirely personal, but anxiety because if someone had really jumped the fence, who were they? And what were they doing here? The officers decide to take a closer look around the perimeter, and I follow them, feeling a strange mix of fear and curiosity. My neighbor lingers behind, watching nervously. As we reach the back fence, one of the officers spots something. A torn piece of fabric caught on a jagged edge. It's enough to suggest that someone really did jump the fence. The realization sends a chill down my spine. Who could it have been, and why were they in my yard? Just as the officers are wrapping up, one of them gets a call on their radio. There's been a report of a suspicious person spotted a few streets over, matching the description my neighbor had given. As the officers head off to follow up on the lead, my neighbor turns to me, their face full of regret. "I'm sorry," they say quietly. "I didn't know how to handle it." Just when I think the ordeal is over, one of the officers comes back, holding something small in their hand, a keychain with a familiar emblem. It's mine. The realization hits me like a ton of bricks. The person who jumped the fence wasn't a stranger at all. It was a friend who had stayed over recently and must have dropped their keys, trying to get back in. The tension eases, replaced by a strange sense of relief and irony. As we part ways, I can't help but smile, realizing how easily a small misunderstanding can spiral into something much bigger. It's a story I'll never forget, and one that's sure to keep the neighborhood talking for a long time. With everything cleared up, the officers leave, and the neighborhood slowly returns to its usual calm. My neighbor, still looking a bit embarrassed, offers a genuine apology. "I just wanted to make sure everything was okay," they explain. "I didn't mean for it to get so out of hand." I nod, appreciating their concern, even if it led to an unexpected ordeal. We share a brief, understanding smile, and for the first time, I feel like we've truly connected, despite the unusual circumstances. As I sit back down by the pool, the afternoon sun still warm, I reflect on how quickly things can escalate when assumptions are made. This experience taught me a valuable lesson about communication and perspective. Sometimes what seems like a simple misunderstanding can lead to unexpected revelations and new connections. In the end, it was a day that changed more than just my afternoon. It changed my view on community and vigilance.